In the bright and colorful village of Ardani, there lived a young girl named Nuru. She was known for her beautiful voice, which could make the birds stop chirping to listen. Every evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Nuru would sing by the river, her sweet melodies filling the air. One evening, while singing, she noticed something strange. A soft, glowing light hovered over the water, and then she heard it, a whisper. At first, she thought it was just the breeze, but then it called her name, Nuru. Nuru, her heart skipped a beat. Who could be calling her? Curious and a little afraid, she leaned closer to the water. As Nuru listened, the voice grew stronger. It was the voice of her great-grandmother, who had passed away many years ago. "Help me, dear Nuru," the voice pleaded. "I am lost and need your music to guide me home." Nuru's eyes widened in surprise and worry. How could she help a spirit? But she felt the pull of her great-grandmother's words deep in her heart. That night, she couldn't sleep. Tossing and turning, she thought about the voice. Nuru loved her great-grandmother dearly and wanted to help. She decided to confide in her best friend, Kofi. Kofi was brave and always ready for an adventure. Early the next morning, Nuru found Kofi playing with sticks by the river. She told him about the voice and her plan to help her great-grandmother find her way back. At first, Kofi laughed, thinking it was a joke. But when he saw the earnest look in Nuru's eyes, he agreed to help. As twilight fell, Nuru and Kofi returned to the river. Nuru sang, pouring all her love into the melody. The glow returned, shining brighter than before. Kofi watched in awe as the light danced over the water, swirling and shimmering with the music. Suddenly, the light split into two. One part drifted towards the village, while the other remained by the river. Nuru stopped singing, confused and worried. "What does this mean?" she whispered. But no answer came, only the soft sound of the river flowing gently. The next day, the village elder, Madam Kira, noticed Nuru's distracted look. She was a wise old lady with deep knowledge of the old tales. "Child," she said, "your song has woken something in the air. You must be careful, for not all spirits seek the light." With Kira's words echoing in her mind, Nuru felt a chill run down her spine. She knew she had to continue despite the warning. Her great-grandmother's spirit needed her. But now, there was another mystery to solve. What was the other light that drifted toward the village? Nuru and Kofi decided to follow the light. It led them through the winding paths of the village, past the marketplace where merchants shouted their daily bargains, and towards the dense forest behind the hills. They hesitated at the edge of the trees, the light flickering invitingly within the shadows. Holding hands for courage, they stepped into the forest. The air was cool and filled with the scent of earth and leaves. Every crack of a twig underfoot made them jump. The light danced ahead, leading them deeper into the thickets. As they ventured further, they heard a different sound, drumming faintly, rhythmically. "It's the drums of the elders," Kofi whispered. "But why here?" They soon found themselves in a clearing where the elders often gathered to tell stories and drum. At the center of the clearing stood an old drum, untouched for years and covered in moss. The light hovered above it, casting a mysterious glow. Nuru felt a strange connection to the drum, as if it was calling out to her. She approached and placed her hands on its surface. The moment her fingers touched the drum, a rush of memories flooded through her mind. Stories told by the fire, laughter shared under starry skies, and the warmth of family. Tears welled up in her eyes as she revisited these precious moments. But then, she sensed something darker, a shadow lurking behind the joy. A sorrowful figure watched her from the edge of the clearing. It was another spirit, one who did not belong. Nuru shivered, knowing she had to confront this new presence. Kofi, who had been silently observing, noticed Nuru's distant gaze. "What's wrong?" he asked, shaking her gently. Nuru turned to him, determination in her eyes. "We have to return to the river," she said. "There's something important we're missing." As they left the forest, the spirit's shadow trailing behind, Nuru felt the weight of her task more than ever. With each step back to the river, Nuru's mind raced. How could she help the wandering spirit and solve the mystery of the glowing lights? She sang again by the river, hoping for guidance. As her voice soared, the water shimmered, revealing not one, but several glowing orbs. Each one represented a different ancestor who needed help finding their way home. Realizing she had to act quickly, Nuru and Kofi decided to seek help from Madame Kira. The wise elder listened carefully, nodding as if she understood more than she let on. "The spirits are restless," Madame Kira said. "Your voice is the key to giving them peace." She handed Nuru an old, worn necklace with a small, carved stone pendant. "This was your great-grandmother's," she explained. "Wear it when you sing, and it will guide you." Feeling more confident, Nuru slipped the necklace over her head. The stone felt warm against her skin, pulsing gently with an energy she could feel. They returned to the river under the light of the moon, ready to help the spirits find their rest. This time, Nuru sang not only with her voice but with her heart, letting the love for her ancestors flow into the melody. One by one, the glowing orbs began to drift upwards, dancing in the moonlight as they ascended to the sky. But not all was peaceful. The shadowy spirit from the forest reappeared, its presence dark and menacing. Nuru felt a chill run through her, but she stood firm. She raised her voice, the song growing in strength and power, enveloping the spirit in its embrace. The spirit paused, its dark form flickering. In the music, it seemed to find a sliver of light, a path home just like the others. As Nuru continued to sing, the shadow's edges softened, and it, too, began to rise, joining the other spirits on their journey to the stars. When the last glow vanished into the night, the riverside was silent, except for the gentle rush of water. Nuru and Kofi stood together, relieved and amazed at what they had accomplished. The next day, the village buzzed with life. People talked about the strange lights in the sky, and how they felt a newfound peace in their hearts. Madame Kira smiled at Nuru, her eyes warm and knowing. "Your courage and voice have given peace to the ancestors," she said. "Your great-grandmother is proud." But the journey was not over. While most spirits had found their way, the village still held secrets waiting to be uncovered. A new harmony hung in the air, setting the stage for more adventures that awaited Nuru and Kofi. As they looked out over the hills, the friends knew there were more mysteries to explore and more stories to be sung into existence. After a stirring night filled with adventure, Nuru and Kofi woke to a bright sun shining over the village of Ardani. The air felt lighter, as if a great weight had been lifted. Even the animals seemed to sense the change, gathering around the riverbank to play and splash happily in the water. As they sat on the banks, Nuru couldn't shake the feeling that their actions had only scratched the surface of something much bigger. "Kofi," she said thoughtfully, "if we could help the spirits last night, what if there are more who need us?"
"Spirits we haven't even met yet?" Kofi nodded, excitement sparking in his eyes. "Let's find out. We could ask Madame Kira if she knows of any stories or places where spirits may still linger." They raced to Madame Kira's home, a cozy hut filled with herbs and old books. When they entered, Nuru noticed the elder was busy grinding a vibrant mixture of leaves, their sweet scent filling the air. "Good morning, children," Madame Kira said with a warm smile. "I sensed the spirit's journey last night while gathering herbs. It was a powerful, beautiful moment." Nuru shared her thoughts about searching for more lost spirits. Kira listened carefully, then said, "Indeed, dear Nuru, there are stories of a hidden valley not far from here, a valley where the spirits of lost children wander. Long ago, a terrible storm separated them from their families. They are waiting for someone to guide them back." Kofi's eyes widened. "Where is this valley? Do you think we can help them?" Madame Kira reached for an old leather map. "The valley lies beyond the hills, where the river bends and hides among thick trees. But beware. The journey is not easy. You will face challenges that will test your heart and courage." Nuru and Kofi exchanged determined glances. "We can do it," Nuru exclaimed, her voice steady and filled with purpose. As they prepared for their journey, Nuru wore the necklace with the carved stone again, feeling its warmth reassuring her. They packed a small bag with food, a water flask, and some herbs Madame Kira provided for protection. The journey began at noon, with the sun high in the sky. The two friends walked through lush fields sprinkled with wildflowers, their vibrant colors dancing gently in the wind. As they talked and laughed, the excitement of adventure filled the air. But soon, they reached the edge of the dense forest. The tall trees loomed over them, their thick branches intertwining like fingers blocking the light. Nuru's heart began to race as she recalled Madame Kira's warnings. "Stay close, Kofi," she whispered, gripping his hand tightly. As they ventured deeper, the forest seemed alive, whispering secrets in a language no one could understand. Shadows flickered among the trees, making Nuru's eyes dart nervously. "Do you hear that?" she asked. Kofi nodded, unnerved but trying to stay brave. After an hour of walking, they stumbled upon a hidden clearing. At the center stood an ancient stone archway covered in vines and moss. "Is this it?" Kofi asked, peering up at the arch. "It looks old, like it hasn't been touched for ages." "I think it is," Nuru replied. "This must lead to the hidden valley." Taking a deep breath, she approached the archway, feeling the energy pulsating from the stones. "Let's go." As they passed through, they felt a whirlwind of emotion. The vibrant colors vanished, replaced by a fog that enveloped them. Shapes and figures emerged from the mist, revealing lost souls wandering the valley. Nuru's heart ached at the sight of the children, their faces filled with confusion and longing. "Why are they here?" Kofi whispered fearfully. "We have to sing for them," Nuru replied, resolve burning in her heart. "It's the only way to guide them home." With a deep breath, Nuru started to sing softly, her voice cutting through the fog. The melody grew stronger, carrying love and hope, reaching out to the lost children. Their eyes widened, drawn to her song, as if it were a lifeline in their darkness. But as Nuru sang, the shadowy presence that had followed them from the forest returned. This time, it loomed larger, swirling around the children and trying to steal their light. Nuru's heart raced, and she could feel fear wash over her. "Kofi, we have to protect them. Use the necklace," Kofi shouted, remembering the warmth it had provided before. Nuru grasped the pendant, feeling its energy surge through her like a flame reignited. She sang louder, pouring every ounce of emotion into her song, wrapping the children in a protective cocoon of music. The shadow writhed and twisted, but Nuru's powerful melody drove it back, filling the valley with light. The glowing orbs of the children began to flicker with hope as they felt the warmth of Nuru's voice surround them. "Stay close, everyone. We're here to help," Nuru called out, her heart beating fast. Kofi stood beside her, ready to face whatever might come next. The shadowed figure shrieked, angry at being pushed away. It swirled faster, attempting to darken the bright light that Nuru was creating. "Don't let it win, Nuru," Kofi shouted, feeling the urgency of the situation. "We can't let it take them away." Nuru closed her eyes for a moment, focusing on the beautiful faces of the children before her. Imagining their families and homes, she sang a song that was both tender and strong. It was about love, hope, and the promise of families reuniting. As she sang, a brilliant beam of light shot from the necklace. The glow spread across the valley, pushing back the dark shadow little by little. The lost children began to sway, drawn toward Nuru's voice, connecting to the love she was pouring into her song. With each note, the children felt a pull, a light guiding them back home. One by one, the glow of their essences began to grow brighter, lifting them from the fog. Nuru could see their smiles, the hope in their eyes as they felt the warmth of the melody. Just as the shadow attempted one last rush, a fierce gale of wind erupted from behind Nuru, swirling the darkness away. The ancient stones of the archway shimmered in response, amplifying Nuru's voice even more. "Come with us," Nuru called out to the children. "You belong with those who love you." The shadow fought valiantly, but Nuru's melody cloaked the valley in light, forcing the dark figure back into the depths of the forest. With a final, echoing roar, the shadow whirled away, vanquished by the power of hope and love that Nuru had summoned. One by one, the lost children began to float joyfully toward the archway. Nuru and Kofi watched with awe. "It's working," Kofi exclaimed, his eyes shining with tears of happiness. Nuru continued singing, her heart swelling with pride. The beam of light covered the clearing, wrapping around the children like a soft blanket. They passed through the archway, their laughter ringing through the valley as they rejoined their families, who awaited them on the other side. Finally, the last child, a little girl with soft curls and bright orange beads, crossed the threshold, her eyes sparkling with tears of gratitude. She turned back to Nuru, smiling sweetly. Thank you for bringing us home," With that, she vanished into the light. Once the last of the children had gone, the clearing fell silent, and the fog began to fade away. Nuru and Kofi stood breathless, feeling the echoes of the song still humming in the air. They had not just saved the children, they had built a bridge between worlds. However, they quickly realized that something was different. The air felt still and strange, as if the valley was holding its breath. The ancient stones began to glow a brilliant blue, pulsing like a heartbeat. "What's happening?" Kofi asked anxiously, glancing around. The pendant around Nuru's neck began to tremble, sending a ripple of energy through her body. "I don't know," she replied, feeling a new wave of magic surrounding her. "But I think we're about to find out." Suddenly, the once vacant clearing brightened with life. Colors flashed to life in front of their eyes, flowers blossomed, the sun broke through the canopy above, and the sound of laughter and music began to fill the air. Spirits of the ancestors who had been too long lost emerged, surrounding Nuru and Kofi. At first, they felt fear. The spirits were ethereal and beautiful but also overwhelming. They danced gracefully around the two friends, their laughter mingling with the breeze. Each spirit wore a colorful garment that shimmered like stardust. "Who are you?" Nuru asked, both curious and cautious. The eldest among them stepped forward, his voice deep and gentle. "We are the spirits who watched over this valley. 4 years, we have waited for someone brave and pure of heart to awaken us." Nuru and Kofi exchanged glances, realizing the weight of what they had done. Not only had they helped the children, but they had also awakened the guardian spirits of the valley. "What do you want from us?" Kofi asked, his courage shining through despite his uncertainty. The elder spirit smiled kindly. "You have proven to be worthy guardians of the light. We seek your help to restore balance to the land, for darkness still lurks in the shadows, waiting for a chance to return." Nuru felt a rush of adrenaline. "What can we do?" she asked, her determination unwavering. The spirits needed help, and she would do everything she could to support them. The elder spirit nodded approvingly. "Your voices carry magic that binds us together. With it, you can protect not just this valley, but all those who wander in darkness. We need you to awaken the sleeping spirits of the ancient trees at the edge of the forest. They carry wisdom and strength, but they have been silent for too long." Kofi looked around, intrigued yet anxious. "But how will we find them? The trees seem so far away." "You must sing the ancient song of the forest, a melody that only a pure heart like yours can unlock," the elder replied. "Follow the path of moonlight through the forest tonight, and you will find the great tree where the spirits rest. When you sing, the forest will awaken." Nuru nodded, her heart racing with excitement. "We won't let you down. We'll find the tree and sing the song." As night approached, they prepared their hearts and voices for the journey ahead. The spirits blessed them with whispers of encouragement and protection. Nuru felt the weight of their hopes resting on her shoulders but was uplifted by the support they provided. When the moon rose high in the sky, Nuru and Kofi set off on their adventure, following the beam of moonlight shining through the thick canopy. The forest around them was ancient and majestic, each tree holding stories of times long past. As they ventured deeper, the shadows seemed to twist and turn, and the air felt cooler. "Do you think we'll find the tree?" Kofi asked, peering into the darkness. Nuru squeezed his hand tightly. "We will. Just remember to stay close." The sounds of the nighttime forest filled their ears, the rustle of leaves, the distant hoot of an owl, and the occasional chirp of a cricket. The deeper they went, the more magical the surroundings looked, with faint traces of bioluminescent fungi illuminating the ground like stars scattered across the earth. After what felt like hours, they finally stumbled upon a clearing bathed in silvery light. At the center stood an enormous tree, its trunk wide and gnarled, its branches stretching high into the sky. Its leaves shimmered as though sprinkled with stardust. "This must be the great tree," Kofi gasped in awe. They approached it cautiously, feeling the pulse of ancient energy flowing from its roots into the ground. Nuru placed her hand on the rough bark, feeling the warmth radiate into her. "We have to sing now," she said, glancing at Kofi, who nodded in agreement. Together, taking a deep breath, they began to sing the ancient song one of the spirits had whispered to them. The melody flowed from their lips, enchanting and heartfelt. As their voices filled the air, a gentle breeze swept through the clearing, rustling the leaves of the great tree. Suddenly, a flash of light burst from the trunk, and glowing orbs of energy began to dance around them. The spirits of the trees were awakening. Their laughter echoed in harmony with Nuru and Kofi's song, filling the forest with an indescribable joy. The tree began to glow with a soft, radiant light, illuminating the space around them. The energy pulsed in rhythm with their song, and the once silent woodland came alive with sounds of nature rejoicing. As they continued to sing, they noticed branches moving and bending slightly, almost as if the tree itself was swaying in appreciation. The deep cracks in the bark revealed ancient carvings, symbols of hope, love, and the stories of those who had come before. But then, just as everything seemed perfect, a darkness swept through the clearing. The shadowy figure from before had returned, grumbling with rage. "Foolish children," it bellowed. "You think you can defeat me so easily? I will shatter your light." Nuru and Kofi were filled with fear, but they stood firm. "We won't let you harm anyone," Nuru shouted bravely. "We are here to protect the spirits." The shadow surged forward, trying to snuff out their light. Without thinking, Nuru clutched the carved stone around her neck and sang even louder, her heart pounding against her chest. The glowing orbs danced around her, providing a shield. Kofi joined her, his voice melding beautifully with hers. Together, they were a force of light. The shadow recoiled, the light pushing against it like a wave crashing against rocks. Every note was powerful and filled with purpose, until the clearing pulsed with magic. The elder spirit appeared beside them, his presence a comforting and guiding force. "Focus on the strength of your hearts. Let the power of love flow through your song." Nuru and Kofi took a deep breath, feeling the elder's words resonate within them. They poured their hearts into the song, unleashing the love and hope they felt for the spirits and each other. Each note grew louder and stronger, illuminating the night and driving the shadow further back. The shadow screamed in frustration, but Nuru and Kofi stood their ground, determined to protect the spirits they had come to cherish. The light enveloped them completely, and the rhythm of their song created a barrier of protection around the great tree and the spirits awakening around it. Finally, with one last powerful crescendo, their voices peaked, sending a wave of brilliant energy that surged forward, crashing into the shadow like a tidal wave. The darkness let out a screech that echoed through the forest as it shattered into pieces, dissipating into nothingness under the strength of their combined light. The last remnants of the dark figure flickered and vanished, leaving the clearing pure and radiant. As silence fell over the forest, Nuru and Kofi opened their eyes. The great tree stood tall and proud, the spirits swirling around it in joyful celebration. They had not only saved themselves but also the spirits of the trees and the valley, restoring balance to the land. The elder spirit smiled at the children. "You have shown great courage and love tonight. You faced darkness together and brought light to the lost spirits. Remember, your strength lies in unity and kindness." Nuru and Kofi shared a triumphant glance, realizing the significance of their journey. "We couldn't have done it without each other," Kofi said. "We worked together as friends, and we believed in the power of love." The elder spirit nodded. "Indeed. A true connection to others can overcome even the darkest shadows. And always remember, by sharing your light, you have the power to illuminate the path for others. Your song will echo through time, reminding those who come after you of the strength of community and love." With the spirits now at peace, Nuru and Kofi knew they had made a difference, not just in their own lives but in the lives of many. They looked out across the clearing, where the once hidden valley now sparkled with light and vibrancy. As the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, it painted the sky with hues of gold and pink. They turned to leave, feeling a sense of accomplishment and filled with hope for the future. They knew they would carry this experience with them forever. Returning to Ardani, they shared the stories of their adventures, inspiring their friends and villagers to embrace kindness, courage, and the power of unity. Those lessons would ripple out into the world, lighting the way for others, just like Nuru and Kofi had done. In the end, the little village of Ardani thrived, forever aglow with the bonds of friendship and the realization that together, they could face any darkness that threatened their light.